Hey guys, my name's Blueblade11, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Burn Blood, one of the fastest rising stars of the current post-mini expansion meta of Fortune's Hand. Let's get into it! So Burn Blood is an effect-based burn damage deck that relies on multiple draw cantrips in combination with its various sources of burn, which include Garnet Waltz, Razor Claw, and Maven Corruption's evolution effect, as well as other supplementary burn effects that are scattered throughout the deck build. This thing is currently the closest thing to aggro in the current rotation meta due to its usage of multiple low-costed followers, which include Lucius and Silverbolt, as well as various burn effects, supplementary storm effect in Hellspear, and its various other low-cost cards that efficiently help to refill your hand, deal damage, and win the game. The centerpiece of this deck, Ravening Corruption, is the #1 card you want to be getting the evolve off of every game. Corruption's fanfare effect is also great for helping to maintain tempo during the Evo turn, so as you can see, if an allied amulet is played, deal 2 damage. This effect is useful outside of Evo turns and during Evo turns for getting all those extra little weenies on board that you might have not been able to deal with in earlier turns. And if you look at its evolve effect, give your leader the following effect: whenever you draw a card, for every card drawn, deal X damage to a random enemy. So basically this is the crux of the deck. This is what helps make the deck tick, because after you get the Evo off on this guy, you're going to be dealing damage with every draw, and given the amount of draws in this deck, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage. The other key player of this deck is Baal. Baal is a new card that was introduced in the Fortune's Hand mini expansion. It's the legendary card from the mini expansion, and a fusion effect where you fuse any and all Bloodcraft followers that originally cost 3 PP or less is part of what makes it such a powerful card. So on fanfare, if you fuse 3 cards, draw up to 6 cards in your hand, then if you fuse 6 cards with her, deal 6 damage to all enemy followers. So this is great in combination with Corruption's effect, because obviously what happens is when you fuse followers in your hand, you free up hand space, you play Baal, you draw cards, you deal damage. Even better is if you can get the 6 fuse condition off, which clears the opponent's board before you ping the opponent for X damage, X being how many cards you actually drew. Nothing else too special about it, but being a 3 mana 3/3 is such a premium stat line. It's even as a vanilla, even though you don't want to play as a vanilla, she's a great tempo play on turn 3. Looking at the rest of the deck, you can see that there's multiple followers, Bloodcraft followers, that refill your hand or maintain hand size, such as Bloodbinder, Bad, Larage, Tyrant Mayhem. There's also Confectioner for tutoring out your Corruption and Creeping Madness, Corrupted Bat, which is great for that Natura consistency, especially when Corruption is a key play of the deck. You also have your various burn/storm damage sources in Hellspear Warrior, Garnet Waltz, Razor Claw. Great effects. IO is also a great tempo tool on any of your other evolution turns, or for whenever you're able to get an evolve point for her with Garnet Waltz, or well, any evolution points that you might have left over from previous turns. Lucius is also a great aggro/tempo/control tool for early to mid to late game. Early game, he's a 1 mana 1/2 premium stat line, always great as an aggressive going first play, still great as an aggressive going second first play, turn 1 play. Late on in the game, he's great for countering large boards with his free evolve effect when there are 4 enemy cards in play, which also includes amulets, and his enhancement effect has come in handy more than once. As for the other cards in this deck, there are a number of optional texts which I've just included all of them in this build here. So from the bottom, we have Silverbolt Hunter, aggro card, feeds into pain effect for Behemoth, helps maintain and push tempo on board, Larage, supplementary 2 mana draw 1, draw effect, works with Corruption, Bear Pelt Warrior, pain effect for your Behemoth counter, solid stat line, great heal for refunding all that pain damage you're dealing to yourself with your other pain effects. Current Mayhem, reach later on in the game if you happen to reach Vengeance. Early on in the game, pain effect, adds to your Behemoth counter, draw 1, solid stat line. The World, great card, great solid card. I run it as a one-off because obviously it doesn't work well with Baal's effect where you want to be dumping your hand. Great heal, has come in clutch more than once. If you happen to get to turn 10 and if he happens to still be in the deck, great for closing out these games with the extra reach from his invocation. Overall, solid card. I wouldn't run more than 2. I run a single one here because I found that's the best balance. And then finally, Permafrost Behemoth. It's been more than handy with his Crystallize effect. 2 mana draw 2 basically. Deal 2 damage to yourself, adds to the pain effect. Turn 9, if you happen to have activated Ray, 10 damage straight up to the enemy's face. Great for when you need that extra reach, great for getting around hill decks. More often than not, if you've managed to reach turn 8, turn 9, you've dealt much more than 10 damage to the enemy's face. So, makes for a great finisher on turn 9, makes for a great supplementary finisher afterward, solid crystallize effect, good card. So I'm actually planning to do Grand Prix with this deck today, so let's just see how we go. Let's get into it. Mono is a cutie. Portalcraft. Italian Portalcraft, okay. Going first, great since we're basically an aggro deck. Thinking about it, Portal doesn't have a great engine early, it has an average tempo engine. Still pretty decent. Decent enough to contest our board. So I'll be keeping Lucius here as an aggressive play. Not the greatest getting a secondary Lucius, but what can you do? Still makes for a solid play in later turns, especially around the evolution turns or even late game where Artifact tends to spam 4 or more followers onto board. So I'm gonna draw cantrip here and hit face. The logic behind leaving the engineer on board is so much more aggressive than Portal at this stage of the game that you want to be dealing as much damage to face as possible. That's a very heavy annoyance. The other consideration with leaving engineer on board is the later you get that paradigm shift into his hand, or he gets that paradigm shift into his hand, the better for you, because for every turn that he doesn't have that paradigm shift in hand, he's not going to be cost reducing that paradigm shift. So unfortunately I'm going to have to skip turn here. Can't really do much about that. 2-2 ward. At the very least I've forced him into a suboptimal play, because that 2-2 ward, 2-1 ward now, doesn't actually advance his artifact game plan. Just thinking about what to do here. Don't want to play 3 mana. Corruption. Just trying to think about how I get the maximum mana efficiency out of this turn. Probably I go Hellspear. Not the worst play, not the best play. Next turn will probably be Great Tree into Corruption, just to maintain tempo on board, and also because whenever you have Corruption in hand on your first Evo turn, you'll always want to be getting that effect off. I also want to get the tree onto board as soon as possible, so I can get that pseudo 0 mana Creeping Madness, as well as heal up a little bit of the chip damage that he dealt to me in the earlier turns. So he's got a bit of annoying board there, but should be able to deal with it quite simply. Just gonna evolve Corruption here. Corruption's a fanfare effect to get rid of the Gunsmith. Evo trade into the Alchemy here. There. 4 mana guy. Archaeologist. That's his profession. I totally forgot what it was. Creeping Madness again. I'll actually hold on to the Lucius here, especially since he's not too much of a great play, to be quite honest. We'll see how it goes. Next turn likely will be Confectioner into another 3 mana costed card. I'm thinking either a secondary Corruption or Bear Pelt. Confectioner. I could have played Confectioner first, increase the chance that I hit that ancient artifact, but I'm just gonna be greedy and it's gonna pay off. Honestly, it's not too much of an issue if I had gotten the low roll there, because you deal so much excess damage with this deck that I often, more often than not, I don't notice myself lacking damage, except against heavily healing decks which aren't too prevalent in the meta right now. Bear Pelt is also great since when he's evolved he restores an additional 2 defense on top of his last words. Not the most relevant thing, but it does heal me back up to full HP, and it's also nice in general. If he Mugnias here, it does remove the heal effect, but looks like he doesn't have a Mugnia in hand, or even if he did, he's not going to play it. Paradigm Shift. Right, that's an interesting aggressive play there. Well, not so much aggressive, that's a very interesting defensive play. I honestly would say that's the right decision for him, because against Burn Blood, you want to be healing as much damage as possible. Also puts me in a bit of a tricky spot for multiple reasons. I don't have a Bell in hand. I still don't have a Bell in hand. I may have to evolve here. In fact, I will definitely have to evolve here. Because I need to get through to that 5-5 and take it out before it heals any more HP. Definitely in a tricky spot right now, especially without the Bell around. 21 cards in deck, no bow. This is a bit of a low roll, but not totally out of the unusual. I'm hoping he plays something. I'm hoping he plays 4 followers on board. He's not going to do that. I'm going to have a tough time. 4 damage. Oh, definitely in a trickier spot right now. Corrupting that. Corrupted that. Empiric. This is gonna hurt next turn. Hopefully he kills the Bloodbinder so I draw extra. Not having the Bell in hand really hurts. Just gonna take a quick look. I do have Wraith active, but that's obviously not gonna win me the game. 4 followers on board. That's okay. Alright, so he's going to be taking a more aggressive stance here. If he's smart, he'll probably evolve the Keen Edge into the trade. Yep. Really has to go and make my life difficult like that. Bow, 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 bow. I have 1 play. So, let's go for round 2. Shadowcraft, another defensive deck. More likely than not is going to be the Last Words variant. Yokai variant? Yokai variant. I've actually covered that in another video, so if you want to take a look at that, just click the link in the top right corner of the screen. For the mulligan here, I'm probably going to full mulligan. I don't want my burn options early on in the game, because more often than not, the more burn effects you have in hand, those burn effects aren't going to refill your hand, and straight up you just kind of fall flat on your face with no engine to support you. It's like trying to run without legs. You need legs to run, right? Like, if those legs don't draw cards, what good are you? Oh, nice. Okay, we're in action, boys. I'll just play the spell here while I do want to counter Shadow's tempo. 2 mana 1/2 isn't that great. Early game Shadow's tempo actually isn't that great as well, especially since he skipped a turn here. From memory, you kind of have some relatively defensive tempo plays early. Defensive being you have 1 mana, 2 mana 1/3 wards, you have various 2 mana banes. I guess if you're Burial Rite, you run the 3 mana 3/3. On the side of Yokai Shadow, nothing comes to mind early. It's more centered around the mid to late game, using various defensive options to heal up all the tempo you lost early game. I'm just kind of thinking about what options I have here. I might Creeping Madness into Hellspear. I suppose there's other plays, but you know what, Face is the place. Sabering Slash is an option, Sacristan if he has it. Gravedigger is usually indicative of a more Burial Rite oriented deck. Gensetsu, however, so he's probably the other variant that runs Lara in the build. Lara Burial Rite? That Sacristan is going to be annoying later. Obviously I do want a Corruption now. I'm not going to be able to take out that Gravedigger with the Creeping Madness, so I'll just trade here, Creeping Madness, maintain hand size, deal 1 damage to the face. Face is the place, baby. And probably next turn I'm going to want to IO evolve into Baal. IO into Baal is great on turn 5 as a follow-up play to a turn 4 Ravening Corruption. Excuse me? Alright, he's playing some kind of weird janky deck here, I don't know what he's smoking. I'm just gonna get kind of super greedy here. Hopefully it'll pay off. That's still on board, so I'll have to evolve trade over that. I do have a lethal set up for next turn, except I don't because he has Sacristan on board. Likely he's going to evolve that Sacristan. That Sacristan is going to put him up to 11 HP. I only have a maximum damage output of maybe 10 damage next turn. As long as he doesn't have a Sabering Slash though, I should be fine in terms of what he maintains on board. Alright, very weak play coming out from the Shadowcraft player here. He is going to be able to heal up a bit of the chip damage, but I should be able to set myself up for a turn 7 lethal. So I'm going to want to raise recall first. Always raise Reclaw before you Garnet Waltz, by the way, just in case you're able to activate Vengeance for the secondary effect on Garnet. I might actually just Larage here because he has no followers on board to stop the draw effect from guaranteed damage on face. I'll save the fusion for next turn, just in case he happens to play around it, and I should be able to Garnet Waltz into Bow. Hopefully I draw another 3 cost or lower Shadowcraft? Bloodcraft follower next turn, so I can fuse that into the Bow for maximum damage. Hell yeah. Oh. Yep, there we go. Alright, so I'm 90% sure this is game set match. Even though we have a Confection in hand, we're going to be dealing a lot of damage, or not. Bam, that's game. I swear Corruption RNG always denies me an easy lethal. But hey, what can you do? Ba-ba-bow. Okay, let's go for game 3. Mulligan everything that isn't draw or corruption. Great hand! Bad on 2, bad on 3, Amulet, corruption on 4. Sorry, corruption into Amulet. I'll save the Confectioner for a turn after corruption. We'll play around the Kagemitsu here. I don't have an IO in hand, so yes. Hope that he doesn't have a Lady of the Lands or Guilt. Nice, 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 nice. I am taking a fair bit of damage here. I should be fine next turn though. Yep, he was definitely waiting to play it. Corruption onto the Steadfast with the Fanfare. Evolve Trade into the Shield Guardian. Creeping Madness. Hopefully it hits the 9. 50-50, end turn. Nice. Next turn is probably Confectioner into Corrupted Bat. He's either gonna trade the Kagemitsu here. No, he can't trade the Kagemitsu. There's probably gonna be a 1-1 on board. Optimal play here for Sword, Evolution Sword, is gonna be Amelia on turn 5. Evolve the Amelia. A few options. If he has a Blitz Lancer, that's the best case scenario. I'm just gonna quickly tally up. He doesn't have the rally count for the free evolve on Honorable Thief. That is gonna be annoying. Oh, come on baby, don't fail me now. Easy! Hellspear, Evolve Face. Funnily enough, I'm pretty sure this gets me the most tempo. Next turn is probably going to be Confectioner into Corruption, unless he has some kind of easier play on board. Ooh, that's interesting. Evolve Levin trade into the 4-4. Give me an IO next turn, please, game. Come on, come on! That's not an IO. I could Larage. If I don't draw IO here, well... Evolve the Larage, trade it into the 3-2. Hopefully, Confectioner gets rid of the last 3-1 ward. Yeah, there we go. I don't have any Avarice users right now, so I guess I'll keep in Madness. So it looks like he's playing the more rally-oriented version of Evolve Sword. It does give me a bit of a trickier time. I will have to evolve here. I may have been able to play the well there, but that wouldn't have taken care of his entire board. Up that into the draw. The only access he has to heals in the deck at the moment should be the world, plus the 3 mana, maybe a Kagemitsu. Usually you don't run that card in the deck, it's not the greatest. The world gets rid of that guild. Would have been nice if it hit face there, but Traveling Corruption. Garnet, Bear Pelt next turn, unless he heals. He has a few nice plays here, if he has access to them. 8 cards in hand, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. Ari it? You gonna Ari it, bro? Alright. Ooh, he's actually gonna get a 0 cost Exterminus weapon here. Tricky. Cool. I don't have enough mana to trade Tree. I probably did next turn. So Steadfast is a great defensive option that Sword has access to, specifically against Burn Blood. He's not going to lethal this turn, so that's a pretty big boy though, gotta say. Here's $1 million question. How to get lethal? Thanks, bro. That is a very annoying moment right there. Remember when I said, hey, what am I gonna use that uses average? Well, there it is right there. Ah, there we go. There it is. Bye. Well, time for game 4. Greencraft doesn't have access to heals early, so as long as you can get the right draw off is a decent enough matchup. I'll keep the Bloodbinder, that's draw. Hopefully I'll draw into Corruption with Confectioner. Very nice mulligan there. I'm going second, not so great. 99% sure that's a Shikigami deck. Very high chance. Shikigami sleeves, inside on turn 1. Could be a red herring, could be a item shop rune that also runs inside. Bloodbinder, that's not misplay there. Although I drew into the Corruption, that's always nice. Maybe Corrupted Bat, maybe Confectioner. Yeah, let's Corrupted Bat. Get that tree down, get more stats on board. Rune does have trouble early game dealing with stats on board, so that's where you want to be taking advantage of Spellboost Rune's weaknesses. Maybe altering Tomorrow into Magic Missile or other 1 damage. Doesn't look like he has an altering Tomorrow, so very likely he's not going to have anything to do with my battle board. What I'm thinking is I might try and get greedy, play the Larage into Raise Recall. Let's not get greedy. You don't want to leave that Chaos Wield on board. Corruption? Corruption. Love Corruption for the effect because who knows when I'm going to get another Corruption. Not the greatest hand for Bow. Probably Confectioner into Larage or Confectioner into Razor Claw. Confectioner into Razor Claw is probably better because you save the Larage for Fuse Field for the Bow, especially when you want to get rid of as many non-fusibles in hand as possible. Very nice. Very nice. Because I want to be more aggressive here, I'm going to evolve for tempo. Hopefully that gives him a harder time. I do have options for evolve recovery with Garnet Waltz later on in the game, so it's not too much of an issue to aggressively pre-evolve, especially against Spellboost Rune. The other thing to note is usually turn 5 is the swing turn for Spellboost Rune, but because he didn't have any additional tempo after he dealt with my board, he's probably in a kind of weaker spot right now. I say that as he plays a bloody Rune. Evolve the Shikigami, so that's going to give him some additional heals back, which is kind of annoying. All I can really do is... Ooh, alright, Lucius is actually pretty nice here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Lucius to clear out his board, and then I'm going to fuse into Bow. Otherwise I was just going to float that 1 mana. Get ready for World of Pain, kiddo. 5 damage straight to the face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oof. Alright, so if he plays Kuon here, it's gonna hurt. Hopefully he's in the weakest spot, because if he had a Kuon in the earlier turns, he would have played it by now. He may be able to get it off here with that 0 cost Demonic. He's gonna heal 7. Always annoying. What I'm thinking is Permafrost into Hellspear, Fuse Bow. The other option is World. Ooh. Alright. Oh, no heals. Okay. Alright, so Creeping Madness. Permafrost. Creeping Madness. And we don't bow here because we have lethal. Creeping Madness is great for situations like that. Oh well, Creeping Madness is great in general. 0 mana, draw 1, deal 1 damage to enemy. Always relevant, always great. Time for match 5. Let's go. Alright, it's a Bloodcraft mirror. Very likely gonna be Burn Blood. This is where the world comes in handy. Going second, I'm gonna chuck out the silver bolt. So the reason I mentioned the world in the mirror matchup is because of the heal that it affords you. Usually in the earlier turns, you're gonna be dealing damage to yourself, they're gonna be dealing damage to your face. So in that scenario, the world is great for countering their turn 5 play. Especially when going second, because if you have corruption, you're not going to be able to play turn 5 corruption and the world both going first. Obviously, there's a lot more in that kind of interaction that I could get into. Just for a quick example, just to kind of explain it, if you're going first, you're not going to need the world as much going first on turn 5. Going second on turn 5, definitely you do want that world in hand. Most people that run the world in Burn Blood run 2 copies, so you have 1 copy for the Invocation, 1 copy for the Mirror, or any other matchups that you might find the world useful in. 5 mana Hard Removal Heal 5, always a decent card. It's also something you want to keep in mind in the Mirror. Like right now, I'm going to want to Garnet Waltz here. I'm not Garnet Waltz, I'm going to want to Larage here. Not Garnet Waltz, because more often than not, he's going to heal the damage, and if he doesn't and you put him into range for him to be able to proc the world's effect, it's going to be a royal pain in the ass. Trust me. Alright, so thinking Bear Pelt is probably the best option here. Larage is the weakest play in this deck, which is annoying. Being a 2 mana 1/2, you're not going to be able to trade into a 2 mana 2/2. It's taking a more aggressive line of play here as well. Bear Pelt already helps defend against that, but it only does so much. Especially since I don't have a Naturean Great Tree to proc Corruption's fanfare effect. That Larage would have been better off if I had a bat. So, not much that can be done. He's gonna continue hitting my face. I feel like that's a bit of a misplay on his part. So I'm gonna Corruption. I'm gonna trade onto the Bloodbinder, not the bat. As much as I don't want to give him draw, it's objectively better for me to get rid of his Avarice activator here, instead of, say, having it active post turn 6 onwards, where he most likely will have the Corruption effect active. Also a bit of okay tempo on the board there. 3 Garnet Waltz, not the greatest hand. If he does play the world here, I'm still fine, but very much likely he's going to want to play Corruption. If he even runs the world, not everyone runs it. I'm just playing around it because it's just something you want to keep in mind. That's a bit of an interesting fan-fed damage he did there. Makes sense if he wants to gamble on the Return Tree. But fortunately for me, this guy hit the worst case scenario. So I'm going to want a Confectioner here. And then I'm going to want a Permafrost. And all holds barred. Fusion the bat. No, Fusion the Tyrant actually. Tyrant is the least useful out of all these cards in hand, so I'm just going to fuse out a free up to hand space. I do have lethal next turn if he doesn't heal up. If he does heal up, his healing options aren't that great. Except for maybe Io. So, kind of interesting thing I need to point out. Because I evolved the Larage, he has a follower to crash Io into, so I basically traded 2 extra damage for him to get 1 extra HP back. Bit of a tight spot. Evolve. I don't have any heals here. Io doesn't count. I'm basically on pseudo 7 HP right now. All I can really do is try and put as many stats on board as possible to try and mitigate the Corruption effect. Like that. Even better play there would have been to trade the Evolve there. But yeah, he only needs to deal 4 damage and I'm done. 2 damage. I mean, very likely he's gonna Io trade. Then he's gonna deal the additional 2 damage with the draw effect. And that's game. Okay. Very unfortunate still. Unfortunately, that's gonna be game. Quite unfortunate. I didn't draw any of my good heals there. He just dealt more damage. I didn't have enough damage. Double IO there, and him being able to trade that IO is a bit of a bummer. What can you do? So yeah guys, that's Burn Blood in a nutshell. Not much more to say about the deck. Very potent deck and ladder. Some unfavorable matchups there, some unfortunate RNG. All you can do is try and maximize your chances of being able to hit the opponent's face with your various control tools by clearing the opponent's board before you activate your draw effects. Probably were a few misplays here and there, which I'll try and point out post-edit if I find them. But all in all, a very solid deck, very strong burn options. A more cohesive deck here probably would have been better to bring into Grand Prix instead of this kind of hodgepodge of random 1 of 2 of techs I have here. The World, Mayhem, Warrior, Belt, Larage, Corrupted Bat, Silverbolt. Creeping Madness is also one of the optional tech options. I run it as a 3 of. Confectioner, another option. You can run it as a 3 of. I run it as a 2 of. Especially when you card Creeping Madness, you only run it as a 2 of. If you do run Creeping Madness, you can run it as a 3 of. I just find it clogs up the hand for battle turns. Behemoth is also a bit of a hand clog at times. It does do better when you run Pelt Warrior in the deck. Tyrant Mayhem is for those builds that don't tend to run Permafrost Behemoth. The World's a good tech for the mirror. Outside of that, not so much. As you saw there were a few times where I had the World in hand, but I didn't have a good board to play it against. There are situations where it will save the game, whether it be turn 10 or whether it be earlier than that when you draw into it and play it for heal and board control. But yeah, I hope you guys learned a little something today. If you like this video, hit that thumb button. Thumb button. Subscribe. Please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell notification for icons. Icon. Notifications. That thing. Anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.